Snow Lion. Lion lived in the jungle. It was hot in the jungle. Too hot for Lion. It was too hot to chase zebras. It was too hot to tumble in the grass. It was too hot to do anything but lay in the shade and pant. Lion was doing just that when his friend Elephant stopped by. "It's hot," said Elephant. Lion was too hot to talk. He just nodded his head ever so slightly. Elephant could see that Lion wanted to be left alone, so he went away. Soon after, Mrs. Baboon came along with her children. They climbed all over Lion. They tugged his mane and pulled his whiskers. "Aren't they darling?" said Mrs. Baboon. "They just love to play." But Lion was in no mood to play. He just growled, a low rumbling growl that startled Mrs. Baboon. "Come along, children," she called. "I don't think Mr. Lion wants to play today." Lion closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but it was even too hot for that. Suddenly, Lion jumped up. "I know," he said. "I'll go away. It must be cool somewhere." So he packed his toothbrush and comb and slowly left the jungle. Lion walked and walked. When the sun went down, the jungle was far behind him. It was dark and cool in the hills. Lion wasn't hot anymore, but he was very tired. He lay down and fell fast asleep. When Lion woke up, he was shivering with cold. All around him was a soft and white blanket. Lion could only see the tip of his tail. Lion stood and shook himself. He scooped up a paw full of the soft white stuff. He smelled it. It had no smell. He tasted it. It had no taste. Lion walked a few steps. His footsteps followed him. Then he began to run. He tried to stop, but he slipped and went flying. Lion landed with a plum. "What fun!" he shouted. "Yippee!" Then Lion had an idea. He would take some of the lovely, cool softness back home to share with his friends. "They will love it," roared Lion. So he filled his suitcase with fluff and headed down to the jungle. As soon as he got back, Lion saw Elephant and Mrs. Baboon. "Look what I have," he called to them. "What is it?" they asked. "You see," Lion said proudly. A crowd of the animals gathered round. Lion opened his suitcase and turned it upside down. But all that fell out was a comb and a toothbrush and some water that made a little puddle on the hot jungle ground. Lion looked into the suitcase. It was filled with cold, fluffy stuff, he said. "I found it in the hills." "Of course you did," said the animals, and shaking their heads, they walked away. Lion was puzzled. What had happened to his treasure? He wished he had some now to put on his head, for he felt hotter than ever. Lion spent the rest of the day thinking about the fluffy stuff. Finally, he decided to go back to the hills for some more. This time, he would put a lock on his suitcase so the fluffy stuff couldn't get out. It took Lion all day and night to go to the hills and come back. When he returned, Lion called to the animals again. "Gather round, friends," he shouted. "This time you'll see the cold, white, fluffy stuff." He unlocked the suitcase and turned it upside down. Only water splashed out. The animals shook their heads sadly. Poor lion, they said. The heat finally got to him. Lion was very unhappy. He went away to hide and think. Suddenly the answer came to him. The cold white fluffy stuff can't come to the jungle. It's too hot here. The fluffy stuff can live only where it's cold. Follow me, he called to the animals. At first, the animals would not go. Then Elephant said, we must follow Lion because he is our friend. And besides, a walk will be fun. So off they went with Lion leading the way. As soon as they reached the hills, they began to feel cooler. Lion ran ahead. He made balls of the fluffy stuff and threw them at his friends. The animals threw some back at Lion. They slipped and slid and fell and laughed. They pushed like giant balls of the fluff down the hill. Then, while Elephant played with Lion, the rest of the animals went to work. They made something very big. This is for you, Lion, they said. It is to thank you for bringing us to this wonderful place. The animals played some more. Then finally, happy and tired, they went home to the jungle. But on the hottest days, they always go back.